everybody.
Hello, hello, hello.
Sorry for the tech issue.
Okay, so everybody, if you have you ever been to a rock concert?
This time it was my fault. It wasn't Keith's fault.
No,
Sorry.
that's listen.
Sorry.
Who's ever been to a rock concert? And you're sitting there with the lights on. You're thinking it's 8:00. The band should be on. The house lights are up.
You're thinking I paid good money for this ticket.
It's 8:10, and you're thinking, man, they're still not out here. Well, let me tell you, behind every issue at those concerts, there was some last-second tech, and something happened, and they just couldn't go on. But boy, when the house lights hit,
that's right.
The crowd roared. Well, guess what? We got it going. We're rocking, and we got a heck of a guest.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to actually get to talk to him in person.
But really, real quick, I will tell you before we do that, I'm going to speak on it because this is something that I want to share with everybody, so they know. So all our lovely people that are going in that we love so much, folks. I just want to let you know, me and Kelly got to actually go to a location together. And we investigated.
Oh, we had so much fun.
And not only was it fun, guys, I had two things happen to me in the paranormal that have never happened. I've never been actually cussed at, like bad. It's never happened. I was like, life's good. And then all of a sudden, then the other thing happened. I get grabbed and pulled out of the bed. That's never happened.
Well, you got grabbed and pulled out of the bed?
Well, yes, that was from the one we think was the upset lady.
No flip, I can't.
But it ended up to be a great place. Listen, folks, if you guys have never been to Pam and Steve's 1912 Hoover House, you need to go.
Yeah,
you need to go there.
Cool. It's a great place. There are people there tonight. Actually, I saw.
Well. And listen, I'm giving the big shout out because you need to go there. It's a great time, great people, and the spirits they have a rocking time with you. So tonight, folks, we have a really cool guest. Not only a really cool guest, but let me just put it to you this way.
Keith, hold on. Your mic is funny.
My what?
Your mic.
Funny.
Yeah.
Like, do I need to have it a certain way or something?
I don't know. It's like breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it breaking up? I got it turned on. Can you hear me now?
It's still breaking up.
Golly.
Can you just unplug it and use your computer one?
Well, I guess. Let me try. Is it really not getting it? Can you hear me?
It's still like really broken.
Now, let me try to turn it up.
Maybe this problem is StreamYard's problem. Maybe it's not our problem. Right.
Hello.
It's still breaking up there, buddy. Ryan,
okay.
You're okay? Ryan,
okay. Ryan Seymour and everybody. I've got a thumbs up from the crowd, so we're gonna rock. Here we go. Okay, so here we go. So with that being said, folks, you really ought to look at that, doing it, and go. But tonight, without further ado, we have a super great person that's here tonight. I asked, and he told me, and I believe him. He said some 50 years of experience in not only the paranormal field, but abroad. So this guy is a super cool guy. If you don't know him, you're going to get to know him tonight. So let's pick this man's brain. And Mr. Kelly, who is it?
Oh, it's Big Al. Big Al Santariga tonight.
Folks, bring him to the show. The man, he's here. We've been trying and asking with people, and they're like, have Big Al. And he's a man. What a guy. 50-something years. So we're looking at another legendary status guy in this field. He's either probably investigated it, been there, or done it. So without further ado, Al, you got the mic.
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Keith. You too kind. Yeah, I've been to Pam and Steve's house, and man, do I got stories for you about that place? But that's another show. I love that place, man. I can't wait to go back. But tonight I was going to talk about our nuclear lake investigation, and the place is called Nuclear Lake because they used to mine uranium there. And they had a facility on the lake. And of course, they were refining the uranium and it blew up and it went into the lake. And hence the name Nuclear Lake. But it's a place of high strangeness. You the Appalachian Trail runs through it. Orbs fly in and out of the water. UFOs siphon water out of the lake. Bigfoot come up to people's campsites. So it's just a really place of high strangeness. And I decided that we were going to go there one weekend, one Saturday night, and do an investigation. And it just happened to be Hallows Eve, and it just happened to be a meteor shower that night. So we went there. We picked out 3 locations that we were going to work from, and one was on the northeastern side of the lake. One was on the north, directly at the north end of the lake, and one was on the west side of the lake. So we started at the furthest point. Was wearing a Moldavite stone, which is supposed to have a higher frequency. They call it the alien stone. And I figured we didn't know what we were going to find. We didn't know we were going to have what we were experiencing. Let's try to get everything we can, right? So we go, and during our when we go to our first base camp, we found 3 quartz crystal stones set up in a pyramid shape, So we got there, and we brought clear quartz crystal and a rose quartz crystal, and we put them on the stones, and we tried to see if we can get any energy jumping from one to the other, right? And we filmed it in thermal, UV, IR, and we couldn't get anything. We called our psychic up. She's in Arkansas, and she's part Native American. And she said, okay, at this location, you're going to see this, that, and the other thing. And we're like, okay, So I'm filming with a thermal imager on the stones, and they're cold as ice, Wow. So I was like, okay, what are we going to do to amp this energy up at this place? Before we did a baseline reading when we got there with a K2 meter, because it's a nuclear lake. We brought a Geiger counter with us, and we checked the radiation level, we checked the EMF level, and everything was basically null and void. And so I had a parabolic mic, and I was listening, and we heard what sounded like a Morse code coming out of the sky. And we got all this stuff is on our YouTube page, and you guys can go and see. We were streaming live that night on Twitter, so all our stuff is on YouTube if you guys want to go check it out. And you hear us talking, what is it? Maybe it's radiation in the trees from when they were small, and and everybody's got theories, and I'm thinking, or maybe there's just a UFO up there behind a cloud that we can't see that's transmitting towards us, right? And I'm pretty black and white guy. That's the way I think. And so anyway, we take out our Tibetan singing bowl, and we ramp the woods up with frequency and vibration. And I mean, this bowl is ringing and ringing.
Oh, wow.
And ringing. And the energy of the place just went crazy. The EMF meter went to red. The Geiger counter was off the charts. It was probably dangerous for us to be in that area. We called our psychic back up in Arkansas to see if she felt anything different. She couldn't even speak. It sounded like she had Bell's palsy. We had to walk about 1,000 yards away to understand what she was saying. And she's like, what the hell did you guys do,
What did you do?
But we're filming. I got the parabolic mic on. And now I'm filming the 3 quartz crystal stones, right? The ones in the pyramid. And they're white hot.
Wow.
And I'm like telling my partner, Brian, touch the stones. I want to see. And he's like, I'm not touching those things. I go, touch them because they were ice cold a minute ago. Now I ended up touching them, and they were cold to the touch, but they were white hot on the thermal.
Wow.
So then I was listening with the parabolic mic, and we heard, we did a day-night investigation. I always like to do day-night, and I always like to go old school, new school. Okay, I'm anal that way. That's the way I am. And so I get the parabolic mic on, and we hear something walking towards us from the west side of the lake. And once it got dark, the coyotes were just going off on the west side of the lake because it was a full moon. So they were just going crazy. And when they were going crazy, there was a dog kennel on the east side of the lake, and they were going crazy because the coyotes were going crazy. And we're 4 miles deep into the woods. And so all this, and we hear this walking, coming towards us. And I'm thinking, man, it must be another paranormal team out here because it's Halloween Eve. And I tell everybody to shut off our headlamps, right? All we have with our headlamps. And then I had the other guys listening. They're like, Al, if that's a dude walking over, he's about 10 feet tall and 1,000 pounds, right? So we shut off. We sit down. We're on a ridge, a high ridge, overlooking the swamp. We're about 25 feet above the swamp, and we hear this thing walk out from by the swamp, and it does 3 whoops, the most powerfulest whoops you've ever felt. I mean, whoop, whoop, whoop. I mean, the vibration goes up the mountain, up our legs, and through our chest. And everybody's like, what the hell is that? And I go, I know what that is. I've heard that before, you know? So everybody's like excited. And so I do a tree knock. It does a rock knock. And we're listening and we're waiting there. And so we're trying to figure out. So we jumped over. There was like a little 4-foot stone wall that we were sitting up against. We jump over the wall with all of our cameras. And there's nothing on the other. We can't see anything in any spectrum of light that we're filming in, right? And so we can't see anything. My cameraman, Bill, had a 1500 luma flashlight. He lit up the woods like it was daytime. There was nothing there. And then from 3 miles down on the other side of the lake, we hear 3 more whoops. So I'm not sure if it was other ones coming in, or if this one somehow went from point A to point B. But as we're sitting there and we're not seeing, we go back, we sit back down, and we settle down, and then we hear a couple of more. We hear a tree knock again. I do a tree knock, and then we're sitting there, and we get a boulder thrown at us, the size of a bowling ball. We're 25 feet up on this ridge. This thing is down in the swamp. It threw this rock up over the top of the trees. Came down, landed directly in between us, rolled, hit my partner's chair, my partner Brian. And so my camera guy Bill goes, I think it's time to go. And I go, nope, I'm not ready to leave yet. I feel like there's more to come. Now, all night long, we're sitting there. We got some glow sticks for ambient light. We had our head. We could hear stuff walking all around us, but we can't see anything. And we got all these different spectrums of light going, and we can't see anything. So at one point, we hear something come charging up the ridge. Bada boom, bada boom. It's on all fours, and it's coming. Right? I mean, it's charging up the ridge. So I jump up. I tell everybody to put their headlamps on. All we have on is pepper spray, 10-inch survival knives, and 18-inch machetes. Nobody's carrying any firearms. All right. And this thing is charging up the ridge. And Bill, my cameraman, is sitting to his back to the wall, and it's coming right towards him. He gets up, and he starts to run. As he's running by me, I reach out. I don't even look at him because my eyes are locked to where this sound is coming, right? Everybody put their headlamp on. I grab Bill, I spin him around, and I say, stand your ground. And we stand there, and this thing comes charging up the ridge. He gets right to this little 4-foot wall. Nothing ever comes over the wall. I thought for sure a mountain lion was coming over and I was going to have to sacrifice an arm, you know? And so, again, we turn all our cameras to where we hear the sound. We don't see anything on our cameras. I got a little Sony digital camera. I take one photograph. Boom. I can't see anything on it. It's pitch black. Whatever this thing was, left, but we never heard it leave. Never heard it leave. I mean, like, wow. How did this thing come charging up the ridgeline like a bear and then stop dead, never come over the ridge, and then we never heard it jump off the ridge. We never heard it walk back down. It's just gone. So at this point, my partner Brian and Bill, they're ready to go. Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Uber,
And-
taxi.
And I'm like, no, I'm not ready yet. Let's just, I don't know. I wasn't ready to go yet. So we sat there for like another half hour. And when we heard those 3 whoops, the coyotes and the dogs, everybody stopped making all the noise. The woods went deadly silent. The coyotes shut up, the dogs shut up, and that was the end of that.
Wow.
So we sat there for about half hour and nothing else happened. So we decided to pack up and go to our second location, which we called the Meadow. And as we're walking back to the Meadow, again, Brian is the tech guy. He's filming on Twitter. We're streaming live on Twitter. And we're walking back and we get to the north end of the lake. And I see this silver strobe light in the sky going from west to east. And I grabbed my little thing and I was like, oh God, don't let this be a UFO. Please don't let this be a UFO. I don't want these guys to get abducted because of me, right? And no sooner do I see it, Brian goes, what's that? And he starts filming it. Now it goes from silver to orange to red, back to orange. It's strobing. And we're standing there looking at it. And all of a sudden, as it's going, it stops. And it makes a beeline right towards us. So it gets over us. And again, if you go to YouTube and you watch the video, you hear us talking. What is it? Is it a drone? Is it this? Is it that? And I tell everybody, first I ask for a time check. I go, what time is it? And Bill goes, it's like 9 o'clock. I said, okay. So it's sitting there and it's above the tree lines hovering over us. And then it hits all of us with a floodlight. And we're all standing there in this floodlight. And after about 5 minutes of looking up at it and it looking down at us, I said, let's step out of this light because we don't know what it's doing to us, you know? So we step out of the light. Well, once we broke that beam of light, it zipped away. Boom. Like in a blink of an eye, it was gone. So we get back, we get over to our second location. And we call the psychic. We do another time check. 15 minutes. Okay, everything seemed like it was copacetic. We're only there. You know, it shouldn't have took us more than 15 minutes to get from. And we're sitting there, and psychic says, "Okay, this location, totally different energy. Here you're gonna see elementals. You're gonna see this. You're gonna see all these crazy stuff she's telling us, and we're laughing because we think she's out of her mind, right? And she's always right, but we laugh at her. We always laugh at her, right?
I was gonna say, well, maybe just fuel for her if you're just laughing, like no.
And so she tells us all this stuff. So we hunker down, and I tell my partner Brian, I said, "Listen, if we see any of these balls of light or orbs." The Native Americans said, don't follow them into the woods. They'll lead you to your demise. So what we're going to do is you hit them with your your red laser. I'll hit them with my green laser. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we're sitting there, and I'm facing south. Brian's facing north. Bill is actually standing up, filming the meteor shower at this point. And so we're filming that, and I'm seeing these 7-foot shadow figures jumping from tree to tree. And I'm taking pictures of this stuff, and I'm going, do you guys see this? It's like 7-foot shadows going from tree to tree. We don't know what the hell they are, you know? And then Bill goes, what's that across the lake? Where we just come from, these 2 orbs lit up, okay? So I said, okay, this is what we're going to do, game plan. On 3, Brian, you hit the one on the right. I'll hit the one on the left. And Bill, you light up that whole area with your 100 lumen flashlight. On 3, boom. As soon as those laser beams hit those orbs, they blinked out. And they were gone. We never seen them again that night.
Wow.
And if they came back, they were invisible to the eye. So we blinked them out. There was nothing over there. With the big flashlight, we didn't see anything move behind the bushes or anything. So we're sitting there, and Brian says to Bill, film behind Al. Come over. And Bill's filming, and we had this this laptop thing hooked up to the camera so everybody can see it, right? And he says, film behind Al. I'm seeing movement behind Al. So we're filming. I'm holding the little tablet, right, that we got hooked up to the camera. I'm holding the tablet. Bill's looking through the viewfinder. Brian's looking over my shoulder at the tablet. And I hand to God, I swear to God, as God is my witness, not one, but two gnomes come out from behind a tree. And one goes from left to right, and then another one runs out left to right. We're freaking out, right? Because everything that the psychic said is going to happen is happening.
It's happening.
Right.
Okay.
So those guys are really excited because they got the SD card and they said, "Oh, we got this stuff on film," and all this stuff. I'm not a tech guy. I don't know. I'm not as good as they are, and they were all excited. And I was like, "Okay." So then Bill starts filming the trees with the IR camera, which is crazy because there are no leaves on the trees. All the leaves are down. Okay. It was a cold night. It was like 20 degrees out. It was cold winter that year. And in his viewfinder and on the tablet, you see all these little, look like silver balls, like Christmas ornaments on the trees. But there's no leaves. There's nothing. What is it reflecting? There shouldn't be anything there, So we're discussing all of this stuff. And all of a sudden, we hear what sounds like, I swear to God, it sounds like a family coming down the Appalachian Trail. A mother and father and two kids. And you can hear the kids giggling and kicking stones, and the parents are murmuring, right? And here we are, three grown adults with large knives and machetes on us, sitting in the dark. So I turned to the guys and I said, let's put our headlamps on. This way we don't freak these people out when they step out off of the Appalachian Trail. So we put our headlamps on and we're listening and we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting, and no one ever comes out. So we go in looking for them. Maybe something happened, they had kids, maybe one of the kids. So we go in and we walk about 100 yards up and down the alley. There's nobody there. We call the psychic back. What's going on, right? We call the psychic back and we say, hey, this just happened. And she starts yelling at us. She's like, why are you guys calling me so late? I'm like, what are you talking about? We just got here like 10 minutes ago, And she's like, no, Al, the last time you called, it was over 2 hours ago. I go, what are you talking about, 2 hours? She goes, you called me 2 hours ago. And I'm like, no, we called you like 10 minutes ago. And she's like, no. So somehow, somewhere, we lost 2 hours of time, okay? So anyway, we explained to her what we just heard. And she says, we're in a time-space continuum, and those people that we heard aren't there tonight. They're going to be there tomorrow, hiking through the woods. She says, believe me, they're not there on Halloween, at 12 o'clock, at 11:30 at night. They're not there. So we're freaking out, like, what the hell is going on? And we've been in the woods for hours, and the energy of this place is just wears you down. I'm telling you, this place, she says she's never in all of her years experienced a place with that kind of energy. She said, there's definitely portals there. Stuff comes in and out as it pleases. She says, not just UFOs, not just elementals, but and Bigfoots and all kinds of things. Okay. So I said, okay, let's go to our third site, the campsite, because this is where the Bigfoot come out and usually hang around the people's tents, right? So we get there and it's like 5 to 12, right? And I wanted to be there for 12 o'clock because all the reports say they come off the Appalachian Trail around 12 and come to that little campsite area. We get there, and I don't know who said it, I don't know if it was me or one of the other guys, said, oh, wait a minute. Tonight's the night we got to turn the clocks back. So instead of it being 12, it's only 11. and nobody wanted to sit there for another hour and wait because we were just burnt out. And we're sitting there, and Bill kept saying, "Man, these woods are devoid of life. For all the water and everything and as big as these woods are, we're not hearing anything. There's just no life in these woods, And so we're saying, okay, let's pack it up, let's go home, because the game plan was, at the end of the night, we're all going to get in our cars, go to the diner, grab a bite to eat, get a cup of coffee, and discuss the night. As we're walking out, and again, it's from the campsite to our cars, it's a solid mile and a half. So as we're walking out, we're all talking about what a shitty night it was. Man, nothing happened. We can't believe nothing happened, and all this, and we're really all bummed out, thinking it was just a crazy. And the closer we got to civilization, the more animals we started seeing. I mean, deer are running out in front of us, and skunks and raccoons and all kinds of stuff. And like, doesn't make any sense that all these animals would be so close to civilization when you have this giant, thousands of acres of woods behind us. It made no sense whatsoever. So we all get in our cars and we all go in different directions, and everybody goes home. Nobody goes to the diner. We all go home. The next morning, I wake up and I got a fat lip, like I was punched in my lip. Actually felt like there was something implanted in my lip. So I call Brian, and Brian says, "Dude, I woke up this morning and I had a small, like childlike handprint on my chest. Like I was slapped in the chest with like a child's handprint, and he's spitting up blue phlegm." So we get Bill on a conference call. We call Bill, and Bill says, "Man, I had the worst night of my life. I had night terrors the whole night. And I got like a big black and blue on the back of my head. I got a lump on my head." Now, nobody went down that night. Nobody got hurt. It was a safe night, because the mining road we go in starts off as a mining road, and then it goes into the Appalachian Trail, and then it turns into like a goat trail. I mean, it's pretty treacherous, especially when you're doing at night with a 40-pound backpack on. You know what I mean? It can be dangerous. But nobody went down that night. So we called the psychic. So Brian says, "I'm calling the psychic." Call the psychic up in Arkansas. Hand to God. Call her up and we say, "Cindy, you're not going to believe all this stuff happened to us." And she says, "I don't know what happened last night." She says, "When I woke up this morning, the arm I was using to hold the phone to talk to you, my whole arm has got a rash on it." So she was infected, and she was in Arkansas, and we're in New York. And it was just crazy. So then, like a week later, we had a team evidence review, and we're reviewing the evidence. And man, when we were sitting in the meadow, we had orbs all around us that we didn't see with our naked eye. And when you blew them up, there was all different colors. There was faces and all of this stuff. So Brian puts all of our stuff on all social media sites, puts everything out raw for anybody to say, "Look, we're working class guys. We don't have a ton of money. This is the equipment we're using. If you got better stuff, if you find anything, let us know." This guy calls me up and he says, "Hey, Al, that photograph in the meadow with all the orbs?" He says, "There was a Bigfoot watching you guys." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "There was a Bigfoot underneath this one. There's like this one tiny little red bush, maybe like a red maple, but it was really small." He said, "Underneath that red maple, there's a Bigfoot watching you." So he sends me the photograph, and I see it. Now I see it clear as day, right? And I'm like, "This is photoshopped for sure." I go and I check. I pull out my all my stuff, and I go to the original photo, and sure as shit, there it is right there. And I'm like, I don't know how many times we looked at these photographs and nobody's seen it. And then the same guy calls me back like 3 days later and says, "That photograph you posted up at that little stone wall?" And I go, "Yeah." Because there was a dog man behind that wall looking at you. And I go, "Where?" So he circles and he sends it to me. Again, I think it's photoshopped. I get on my computer, I pull up the original photo, and there it is. You see two eyes, the light shining it from the light from the flash going off. You see a snout, and you see two pointed ears, and it had almost like a bulldog kind of head. It was a square head, a square jaw, and just its nose was over that wall, like sniffing us, you know, and I was blown away. We didn't even see the evidence we had until somebody else with better equipment pulled it up and stuff. So, I mean, that night we ran the gamut of stuff. It was just,
I was going to say, I don't know. I mean, there's just like a million questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
And I see some other people ask some questions too. What are you going to say?
I'll take any and all questions. Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, Wes is right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm in shock. I sit here and I hear this because I have a location like you're talking about. Now, it's not UFOs, it's not other things, but it is a portal, and I've got pictures of it. I'll have to get with you. And all that stuff you said is the same kind of stuff. Yeah. Crazy activity. I know somebody else that I know also has a portal, and this person I get to speak with, and they send pictures, and we discuss, and some of the stuff that comes out of this portal is just off the chain. It's like, oh wow, look at what's coming out of there. And so with that, you talked about the orbs. So are we finally getting to, maybe as a consensus in the paranormal, realizing that when we do capture these self-sustaining light anomalies with energy in and of their own, that they are not dust or bugs? Can we finally say that?
Yeah. Look, we always try to debunk our old stuff, and if it's just a clear orb, or then we kind of just throw it away. I throw away more evidence. I mean, I see the stuff that's online, and half of the stuff that I throw away is better than it. You know what I mean?
Kevin heard something on the other day about a Bigfoot, and it was clearly. But my thing is, I'm pro light anomaly / orbs, and the reason why is I had investigations, and I asked them, okay, so I'm hearing you, you're talking to me. How do you show yourself? How am I seeing you? And they tell me, balls of light.
Yeah.
How do you show yourself? And they'll again say, balls of light. And I mean, tell us what else in the paranormal, and then I'll tell you. But with as many people in the show we've got, and I mean, we've got Wes Coleman, we got Flip, Robin, we got Curly Hall, Kevin Hart, Bob Burnell. I have a host of people in this show that are all extremely intelligent. Ryan's in the show, Seymour. These guys have either been on our show or been on many shows. And I mean, these people also will tell you that they've had investigations where they've documented that. And we've got to, I think, get past the fact that people who are the ones who are trying to cut your tire and saying, oh, that's not what it is. And my question is, were you with Al that night? Did you investigate with him? Were you standing by him? Well, then if you weren't, what right is it for you to sit there and say what Al did is not true? He didn't see gnomes. He didn't see a Bigfoot, a dogman, or whatever. So I always tend to say, unless you were there, hold your tongue rather than, and sit there and tell someone else that they didn't experience it. Because Wes is correct. I'm sitting here just like in awe. I mean, we had me and Carly and everybody else, and Wes and Kelly and James and Carl. We had an amazing time at the Hoover House, but that pales in comparison to the night you had in the haunted woods of gnomes. There where you were. But the question we ask is, if you can say, where in the world, where in New York? I mean, are you able to say, or is it just a public location?
I'll tell. It's Dutchess County, New York. It's about maybe 75, 80 miles north of Manhattan.
Robin has some questions too. She asked, If you got any pictures of the gnomes and if they spoke.
Oh, I'm glad she asked that question, because when we went back to when we did our monthly meetup, but to review the evidence, our evidence review, we put that SD card in, and we usually have like a 60-inch TV that we use to see everything, and there was nothing on the SD card.
Yeah.
Nothing. The SD card was blank, even though it said it was. We were filming that whole night. We got video of the UFOs. We got tons of video of the what you call it, the sky thing, of the sky, what we do with the sky watch, the meteor shower. We got tons of video of that. We got pictures. We got pictures of everything, but the gnomes didn't come out. And we actually got up and walked over to those trees, because it ran from one tree to the other, and then it must have like waited and it called the other one over. So we all got up and we went over and looked, like, what the hell is behind this tree, you know? And there was nothing there. There was nothing behind either tree, but we seen them clear as day. And I swear to God, it looked like little garden gnomes. I swear to God, it did. I mean,
that's so crazy, because could it be that the Bigfoots and the gnomes and the other creatures of the woods are either A, going through that portal, or B, are they able to basically become transparent and be to where they can basically almost disappear, or just kind of vanish and just, just like a spirit does, or a ghost?
Yeah, I mean, look, over the years, our theories have changed dramatically. You know what I mean? From flesh and blood creatures to paranormal to interdimensional.
Right.
I always said that they had the ability to raise their vibration and change the frequency they were in, to change the spectrum of light they were in, and we can't see them, and that's why I went out with so many different cameras and different spectrums of light, because I thought for sure we catch them in one of them,
right?
Because that was like always my theory. They just change the spectrum of light they're in, so we can't see them. But again, over time, these theories change. So we it's all theory and conjecture, you know what I mean? But I had an awakening 2 years ago. I call it an awakening. Brian calls it what does he call it? I forgot what he uses, a different terminology. But I had like this crazy thing where I was told the secrets of the universe. Okay, and and it told me, said, and I could talk to you about that if you want, but I mean, it's all about consciousness, vibration, frequency, and I always like to include intent. You know what I mean? And I know, again, going back to the beginning, everything was separate, right? UFOs, Bigfoot, ghost hunting. They were all separate entities. No, because our intent is to make contact, no matter what you're trying to make contact with. You know what I mean? And if you can raise your vibration, change your frequency that you're radiating in, you can make a connection. I've been told by a couple of world-renowned psychics that these creatures, I shouldn't call them creatures, these beings actually tried to communicate with me when I'm out there. Because I have a hot spot that I go to, and I've been going to for years, and we have a very good rapport with them. But they're only coming through to me in waves, because my mind is always racing, But now that I've had this awakening, Brian calls it an ascension, I just say awakening. But I think now when I go out, it'll be easier for me to make contact, mental telepathy wise, or stuff like that. But yeah, there was just so much. This place is so crazy. The energy of this place is just off the chart. And as I started researching, I go back to the Native Americans, and the Native Americans always thought that it was a sacred site. And I don't know if that's because they seen the star people coming down. Maybe the aliens were mining uranium there at one time. I don't know. But it was always a sacred site. Our sacred site that we have, that I believe was a Native American burial ground at one time. and it may be a Bigfoot burial ground now, and but this place is just off the charts. I mean, we walked out of there after we left the following day, and I had to go to work on Monday. I was loopy for a week. I was able to function and do my job, but man, it was hard to stay focused, and I was very good friends with Rosemary and Guiley. Okay. And Rosemary always told me, Al, if you want me to regress you, we'll find out what happened in those 2 hours, And I was like, absolutely, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. But she was always so busy with TV and book tours and everything. I never got a chance to get to her house to do it. She goes, come to my house, because she didn't live that far away from me, And she said, come to my house, and me, you, my husband will do it privately, because I didn't want the other guys to know. Because if it was really dark and disturbing, I didn't want to freak them out. You know what I'm saying? But if it wasn't as disturbing, then, we'd bring them in on it and have her regress them as well, But she passed away before we ever got a chance to do it. I miss her. To this day, I still miss her.
Well, and that's not uncommon as far as like you feeling loopy, because from my experience with those sorts of beings, they really do impact you differently than, paranormal spirit that you would encounter if you just be in a haunted location. I mean, they impact your energy differently, and you perceive them at a different frequency. So I'm not surprised you felt like that, afterward. Ryan said, he asked, did you get any EVP captures when you were out?
Not that night. We didn't capture any EVPs that night, but we did go back, and the following summer we went back, and we were actually taking a woman from England out because she had never seen any Bigfoot structures, and it was a drought that year, and we went into the swamp but the swamp had dried up. So we're in the swamp, and I'm showing her like a small structure, and I'm explaining that this is something that an infant must have built, mimicking the adults, right? And we started to get eaten by mosquitoes. So Bill put his camera down on the log to get the bug spray out. And he went home later that night. He got an EVP, Class A. It's a Class A. And again, it's on the website. It's on the BPS Facebook page. Class A EVP. It's a whisper. It says, Bill. Right? But not only once, it says it twice. It calls his name out twice. Bill. And he called me up, and he was freaking out. He's like, dude, he goes, they're calling my name. And I go, well, what are you freaking out for? This is what we do. And he goes, because they're not calling your name, they're calling my name, But we got a Class A EVP. Yeah, absolutely. The following summer we went back, and we did get a Class A EVP, but not that night. We didn't get any EVPs that night. No. But you can hear the UFO that was above us giving off some kind of electrical hum, because when we were filming for Twitter and Brian filmed it, you can hear the hum it was giving off. Wow. And I think there's actually video missing, from the whole experience, because when I said, look, let's get out of the light, it wasn't on the video. It was just like those first few seconds that Brian filmed it coming across the sky and then coming towards us. Once it hit us with the light, I don't know if it shut the camera off, but yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was just a crazy night. Yeah. Well, I'm probably not even doing it any justice,
You're speaking of noises and those different things that happen, and I've done this before, and it was a crowd pleaser. But I had that situation with a portal in the woods in Gettysburg, and this location where I get to go. I went to the National Fire Academy for a decade taking classes, and went to this one location, and the noise that I heard as what I believe this portal opened was this this strange interdimensional noise, and it sounded exactly like this, Al. It was a like it opened up, like it was a loud starting and just hum. And I looked at John and this noise, and I'm like, what the hell? And then it just was vibrating for a while, and I said, oh, my camera. I just started taking all these different pictures, click, 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 just in 360, everywhere I could get pictures.
Yeah.
Of course, most of them were nothing,
Right.
until I got to a group of pictures, and I put them on the screen and pulled them up. I sent them to a very well-known man in this business. His name's Tony Rothman. And I sent him to Tony, and I said, Tony, tell me what you think you may see in this. And he looked, and he was like, oh, wow, Keith. And then I gave him some time, and I said, I'm going to send you a picture, and if it's not what it is, fine. But I'm going to send you a picture, and then you tell me if this is what you think you see. So I gave it about 5 minutes. Then I said, are you ready? He goes, yep. I sent him the picture, and he's like, yep, that's it. So anyway, it was really, it was really cool. It was a super event that happened. Ryan Seymour's busting my chops.
I can't hold it. It's between him and Kevin. I can't hold it together.
I know.
So, Wes asked if it was at Devil's Den.
So actually, Wes, it wasn't. But if you're gonna go to the bash, I'll bring you to this place of that, because it literally is a private location that I get to go have access to, and I'll bring you over to it, Wes. And I believe there is a portal there. Like, I've had 2 different experiences where I go down there, and what's your thoughts on that, Al? have you studied portals or know something about portals?
What we did, what I know about portals is this. I was at a symposium one time with David Roundtree, and we were sitting next to each other. David's an electric engineer, and he told me, he said, when portals open up, the radioactive energy goes through the roof. Okay. And that night, after we used the Tibetan single, and we've done this on a couple of other occasions up here in the Northeast, we have these stone chambers, ancient stone chambers that nobody knows who built, and we've done them in the stone chambers as well. And I don't know what it is about the Tibetan singing bowls, but they're amazing. And that night, after we hit the Tibetan singing bowl, my whole body was tingling, and we checked the Geiger counter, and the Geiger counter went through the roof, and we kind of felt, at that point we had opened up a portal with the Tibetan singing bowl. Yeah. That's all I really basically know about them. I do know some people say when they open up, it sounds like tectonic plates scraping against each other.
That was that. Maybe, in its actuality, could that have been the noise? I do know that when it happened, it was a very unique noise, as if there was this just very loud humming, buzzing type noise. And then I took the pictures and I looked. I was like, that's crazy. And then I sent him, like I said, to Tony, and said, look what's in here. I see a lot going on here. And he said, no, this is what I think. And if anybody's qualified to set stuff on his equipment, I don't know if you know Tony Rothman, but the guy,
I know of him. I don't know him personally.
He's sharp. He is a very, very sharp guy. But between communications and the other, probably one of the best in our business.
Yeah, I have a good friend, Mark D'Antonio, and he's a tech. He's a photo analysis for MUFON, and he also has a very high clearance with the U.S. military. So whenever I have an issue with photos, I usually send it to Mark. And if Mark can't debunk it, then I know it's the real deal. And even Mark's house is haunted, and I got to go do an investigation in his house. But to answer what's his name's question, the Devil's Den is actually in Connecticut, not New York.
Oh, he was talking about Devil's Den in Gettysburg. because it's on there.
Well, there's
The
Devil's Den.
Gettysburg.
There's a Devil's Den.
Yeah,
But you mean when the rocks are the Devil's
Right.
Den?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Al, are
yeah.
you going to be at the Gettysburg Bash?
We're trying to make it there.
You need to make it out because it's going to be a who's who. Word has it on the street. Kelly Miller's going to be there. We're kind of looking forward to that. Word has it.
And she doesn't need her camera to work for that event, so it'll be fine.
Wes is coming. I think Robin's mentioned. We're trying to talk Bob into it. Hopefully, we get Ryan there, and I hope my little buddy. I hope Carly gets to be there because that's going to be really fun, and she's a dear heart too. That'd be really fun if she gets to go. I will tell you that this show tonight, for a show to leave me almost speechless with everybody, and I mean everybody that's tuned in tonight knows that that's quite a feat. But I sit there in awe. I was waiting for the next thing, like what else happened and what you saw. That leads me to it. There are so many places. I mean, I'm going to Ireland this year in July. There's several haunted locations, some prisons, and places that are 400 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's supposed to be some of the most haunted places on the planet. But where you went, it's like, what? I mean, geez, gnomes? Bigfoot,
yeah, I mean,
dogmen. I need to call Ryan Seymour and say, Ryan, what's up, buddy? You ready to make a road trip?
Our psychic said that the balls of light that we seen that were on the outside, like that we hit with laser beams, she called those fairies. That's what she said they were. Mm-hmm. I mean, whether they were or not, I don't know.
I need to talk to her because I got a friend. I know somebody who it's believed that what she's been experiencing are fairies as well. And the reason I want to try to get this is there's been people that have seen these photos and videos and tried to say, oh, it's dust from Mars and it's bugs and it's this and that. I want somebody that's actually got some sort of real, qualifications of being able to look at these and say, you know what? I think there's more to this. I think there's more to it.
Yeah, and look, of course, dust particles will create orbs and even moisture in the air. If you're out and it's a humid night or muggy, you'll get orbs, But when you're out and crystal clear night and there's nothing, you don't see anything, and then you have these cherry red orbs or orange orbs or blue orbs or green orbs and even white ones. I'm not talking about the ones that you can see through that are barely visible. I'm talking about things that were just like, and it's so crazy because I went to school for photography. I graduated from the Center of Media Arts in Manhattan for photography many, many moons ago, and these balls of light are not throwing any light anywhere else but within them. You know what I mean? They're not casting a shadow on the trees. They're not illuminating the air around it. It's just that light is held within. And I know a lot of people have problems with orb photos, but I'm telling you, when it's like that, there's no doubt in my mind,
Well, right. And I agree with you, Al. Anytime it's a self-sustaining, it's got its own power, right? It's like if, we sit here and we take this flashlight and people go, oh, gee whiz, it's a flashlight, right? Well, when that light is able to come flashing by and you see that somewhere and you're like, okay, we're in the pitch black dark of a building and that light went by and there's nobody holding a light and there's no dust, it's not dust, it's not a bug, and it went by with its own energy. And then even you have the spirits, you ask them, you're like, how do you show yourself? You're here, you're talking to me. If I'm seeing you, you're here, then how would I expect to see you? And they say, hey, dummy, balls of light. like I just went by. And I even had one I filmed, and it was that bright coming towards us. And it says, here I come.
Is that what it said?
It says, and we were filming, and it was at the end of the hallway, and we thought, hey, who's down there? Who is it? And it was coming towards me, and it said, here I come. So you know, that's pretty cool there when
Yeah,
they're
no.
telling you.
When you get in validation like that, they actually tell you they're going. I was at a house cleansing one time, where the orb came out of the wall, stopped right in front of me, and it did like, oh man, he's like right here. I had my camera in my hand. I was so blown away by what I was seeing with my own two eyes, because I've never seen one with my own eyes. I always seen them in photos. And I ended up chasing this thing down a hall, through a kitchen, and out the back door. And I never hit the button to take a picture of it, And that was just amazing to see this thing come out. And the feeling I got from it is like, it didn't expect me to be right there. And it was like, whoa, he's like right here,
Well,
I don't claim to be psychic, but I am sensitive, and I've been told I'm intuitive. And the longer you do this stuff, the longer you're in it, the more sensitive you get to different energies.
Exactly. I agree.
And I feel stuff now that I didn't feel, 25 years ago.
Well, you qualify as a veteran in the field, Big Al, so I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, folks, children of all ages, what a show. What a show. I've got a feeling that we could continue on, but the neat thing about it is I want to have this man and somebody else that was in the audience tonight that I think Big Al knows. I think Big Al knows. Big TK, and have him on the show and let you guys just go at it and talk, because I tell you, between your investigations and some of the places you've been, I would say that would make for a very cool show.
Well, I've kind of taken Tom under my wing, and I throw him a bone every now and then.
Who knew this guy? He's okay. He had it. But folks, I got to tell you, tonight was even more than what I thought it was going to be. I knew we were going to talk about some things, but then with this investigation, it just goes to show you that we are just on this little bitty cusp of what we know in the paranormal. I mean, me and Carly, we were there. We were in that room. I got cussed, or she got cussed at by a spirit. Then it got mad, which I upon the question, folks, here in the audience, does spirits, can they have emotions? Because I think that this spirit that I talked to initially and then introduced to other people got jealous and told me, or told us, F you, and got mad. I mean, very loudly. And then later that night, to get back at me in another way, he said, I'll show you, I'll pull you out of the bed. And I'm 6'5", 280.
Yeah.
And my head was way far from the head of the bed. I was halfway down the bed, and I thought Steve Barry had played a joke on me. And I go down there. I was like, God dang it, Steve, this is not funny. And I look down there, and there ain't nobody. And at the same time, the room across the hallway got locked.
Buddy.
Yeah, I was in that same room, and I had an experience in that same bed.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that lady in that room is just, apparently she must truly be very jealous, because if I upset her, I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, but I'm going back, because we had so much fun and it was so short. I'm like with Pam, I want to go back. Yeah, Kelly said it was her. Kelly, if I have Kelly one of my shoes, a size 15 shoes, I think she'd be trying to pull it. She'd be like, really? That big thing? What a time.
What just look up and be like, I'm just going.
Yeah. Yeah. But folks, what a
Al,
time.
can you tell everybody how to follow you?
How do we get a hold of you, Al?
Yeah, the easiest way to follow me is on Facebook. You know what I mean? I know Brian's got us on every single aspect of social media, but Facebook is the easiest way to follow me. The BPS team, Bronxville Paranormal Society, the New York State Sasquatch Organization, the New York State UFO Project, and the North American Dogman Project, New York State chapter. It's all of us. We have a website for BPS. and the Facebook page. So that's the easiest way. And if you got any questions you want to ask me, you can hit me up on private messenger, and I'll answer them for you guys. I don't have a problem talking to people.
So Al, can you hang out in the green room for just a minute? We got to do
Absolutely.
a little promotion deal we're going to do, and then we'll get right with you.
Awesome.
Okay. Hey folks, I wanted to do a shout out tonight for everybody there that's in there. I look at the names on there, and I'm just going to tell you right now. So many of you that give me a hard time. I know you have a good time and stuff, but listen, it's all because actually with all of you that are in there, there's not a one of you on there. I tell you, I don't love you and care about you. If I don't either call you or say how you doing or how are things or give you a heart once, heart or thumbs up, or that's just me saying, hey man, how are things? And, I'm blessed to have the friends I do, because the family I had are now, in heaven. So I've lost most of my family. So you really are my family. So thanks for being there. And my buddy Carly Hall tonight, because boy, did we have a good time at the Hoover House. Speaking of big things, folks, here we go. We've been talking about it, and now we're gonna give the shout out.
Kevin wants to know even him.
Well, Kevin's another whole creature. Speaking of creatures, so folks, if you don't know, the Warren Seekers of the Supernatural Paracon 2 is coming October the 29th, 2022 to the Mohegan Sun. If I'm not totally mistaken, I believe that is exactly where they're going to be.
In Connecticut. The Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. There's one in Pennsylvania too.
Yeah, so in case you don't know that, folks, so as well, folks, we are going to be having those people who are going to be at that event on this show. And there are a bunch of super cool people that are going to be at that place, at that event, okay? I'm just telling you, that's going to be a rock star event. Me and Kelly went last year, and I've been to a lot of concerts. That was like a concert last year. It was like a rock concert. They were out the door, lined up, trying to get inside to be, to get there.
I think that'll be nice about this year, because the venue is more conducive to
this is going to be a
larger
bigger
group. So after last year, I think it'll definitely be.
So it's grown. It's grown. But I'm telling you right now, when you start seeing the stuff about tickets and you want to go do the full ride, which will probably, I'm thinking, probably be a full weekend like it was last year. We'll know more as it gets closer. But I'm telling you, you're going to want to jump on that, because last year was a rock concert. And this year I've heard it's going to be even bigger and even better. And we're going to have those speakers and those people that are going to be there on our show. Me and Kelly have been blessed to get asked to come back for a second year. So we're definitely going to be jumping on that, having a good time. And just blessed to get to be a part of it, because it's so many very cool people of the paranormal.
Absolutely.
I just want to say too, I hope you enjoyed this show. Me and Kelly talked about it from the beginning, that when we do this show, it's having people on this show that you want to get to know, you want to get to learn from, and hey,
and different areas too of the paranormal, not just ghosts, or technology or sensitive side, but those earthly elementals and everything in between, extraterrestrials, everything in between. And because I think it's just kind of this all-encompassing umbrella that just has all these beautiful, tendrils underneath it, that I think we all have more in common than what we think. And especially when you have experiences like this, you bond instantly on a much deeper level with your teammates or friends or investigators or people that you're with, to have these experiences that you can't always touch and see, So I think it's so cool to get to hear his stories, and I look forward to having him back and more people on with similar experiences, because it's just amazing. I've had a lot of experience with elementals too, and it's just completely different sort of energy. So I think it's awesome to hear their accounts. And if you have someone that you think would be a great addition to the show, please send us a private message on Instagram or Facebook so we can check it out. We have the next few months lined up with some really great guests for you. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with our next guest and kind of reveal who that is in maybe a day or two. What do you think, Keith? Maybe a day or two?
I think so, absolutely. But hey, she brings up a good point. If there's somebody like, could you maybe get so-and-so on the show? Hey, if we don't ask, we won't know. But as this show grows and people are starting to see that it is a cool and kind cosmic kind of show, then that's why we want to make it special. So much love, so much respect for all y'all. Thanks for tuning in. And we're going to see you.
Thanks for your great questions. And we will see you in 2 weeks.